I'm Bennett Freeman. I was a co-author of the report. I've been deeply involved in human rights, business and human rights, and defenders for 25 years now. The report is an effort to summarize and assess the accomplishments, but also the continuing challenges in getting business to respect and protect human rights defenders and to support and defend civic freedoms. And the report theme, if there's one central theme, is that progress and commitment must be translated into action and results. The progress has been significant, but insufficient. We've constructed the infrastructure of policies and procedures and tools and initiatives for business to protect defenders and to support civic space. Now the point is to use all of that, to use this whole set of standards and tools and initiatives, policies, procedures, guidance. Do it. Action by business on almost any element of corporate responsibility and accountability rests on some degree of convergence of interests and values between business and civil society. And what's in it for business? The social license to operate in different countries relative to local communities, indigenous communities, to civil society more broadly. The notion that respecting defenders, supporting civic space, is a way to have operations, business operations, supply chain relationships that may be less disrupted, that may operate with greater consistency, that may in turn translate into more sustainable and profitable business and investment environments. The role of governments is absolutely critical here. Demands for corporate responsibility tend to increase in inverse proportion to government irresponsibility. We have to put the onus on governments even more fundamentally than on companies. And that's in no way to let companies off the hook, but there's a reason why the first pillar of the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights is the state responsibility to protect human rights. The second is the corporate responsibility to respect human rights. Well, there's a range of policies. Some are a paragraph, some are a page, some are a couple of pages. Where the big gap is, though, is in implementation guidance. A paragraph or two or a page or two policy commitment isn't worth much without internal procedures, processes that give guidance to companies across different parts of company operations. It is not easy for companies, even for the companies that are most committed to human rights, to actually decide whether to act, and if so, how in certain circumstances. It's complicated. The only major company with at least a publicly disclosed implementation guidance thus far is Unilever. It's critically important that we reinforce the government pillar here. And right now, what's shaky is the EU CSDDD, human rights as well as environmental due diligence requirements for companies. And it's essential that those go forward in 2026 without much dilution. But the most important recommendations focus on companies themselves. The companies that have exposure to risk to defenders in civic space that don't have policies need them. Companies need to integrate risk to defenders into their human rights due diligence, risk assessments, and not least into their community and stakeholder engagement. So there's a real concern for those of us in the human rights community of the risk of backsliding by major American companies. We have indeed seen a significant backsliding on DEI, where some companies have abandoned policies and programs. Others have changed language but maintained most of the content of their commitments and practices and programs. We've seen significant backsliding in the climate arena, but there's a very positive, constructive initiative that was launched in July of 2025 by the Business and Human Rights Resource Center to research, track, and report major backsliding by American companies when it's identified. The objective really is twofold. First and foremost, to deter such backsliding by putting companies on notice. And the second purpose is to, when necessary, to provide the basis for accountability for companies that choose to walk back basic commitments on human rights and labor rights.